Other teams might as well buy their tickets to Cancun now because the Celtics are on the path to ban on 19. With us on this journey are JP, Sam Packard, Brian Robb, and Sean. So I'm going to need you all to buckle in because this pod's going to be a wild ride.
Still particle, the Boston Celtics still particle.
I've never seen anyone lose their season 2 years in a row.
A psychosexual celebration of the Boston Celtics.
I had the wrong theme song again. Not sure what happened. My bad. That's on me. I had the playoff edition of the song. T Money, the legend behind our theme music. Shout out to him. The man is weird mind. Great guy. Weird mind. Awesome music though. And that weird playoff song, it's awesome. But it's not the playoffs. It's a preseason. Celtics just wrapped up the preseason with a last-second win against the Toronto Raptors. Xavier Tillman hit a floater to fend off preseason overtime, to help out the writers, to give everybody a lack of 5 extra minutes of preseason. It was pretty much a dress rehearsal for the Celtics. They played most of their main guys. Sam Hauser got the night off. With Hauser out, the Celtics started a bigger lineup with both Chris Boucher and Nimi, which I think should be, one of the possible starting lineups. I don't know if they'll have a set starting lineup. Joe has talked about being fluid, having a fluid rotation. I think that means the guys at the end of the rotation. I think it also means that he could switch up the starting lineup. It's not going to be as set in stone as it has been the last couple of years when the Celtics have been healthy. The big news from tonight, obviously, Jaylen Brown's hamstring injury. Left the game with left hamstring tightness. There was at least some optimism that he avoided a serious issue. Joe said that he spoke to Jaylen, and Jaylen told him he'll be okay. Joe didn't have much of an update beyond that. But obviously, when the star player grabs at his hamstring in a preseason game and has to go out, he was walking on his own and stuff like that. But definitely a concern, especially for a Celtics team that may not be as thin on the wing as I think a lot of people anticipated coming into the preseason, but is still pretty thin on the wing. Only has Sam Hauser basically as someone who has experience on the wing. And other than that, it's going to be young guys fighting for an opportunity. Tillman was the hero. They just decided not to cover him on the final play, basically. And he said he thought to himself, that's game, which is cool. It was a cool moment for Tillman. Been a long year-ish for him. I think last year just did not go the way that he wanted. His knee was hurt. He was a little heavier than he is now. I think that probably had something to do with the knee. He wasn't comfortable physically. And obviously it's tougher to stay in shape when you're not feeling right. But he committed to losing weight. He says his knee feels good now. The Euro step that he made, throw it onto the list with the alley-oop that he had earlier in the preseason as moves that Tillman just would not have made last year. Just wasn't going to do that. Was not going to be able to finish something like that last year. He's moving differently, and I think it could be a big deal for the Celtics. He's clearly their best defensive big man. I don't think it's close. He is great positionally. He can rack up steals and blocks. He's great as a help defender. He's a very good anticipator of what's coming. he and Joe Mazzulla both think that the Celtics' new defensive schemes, the more aggression that they're showing, the more kind of turnover happy scheme that they're hoping to force other teams into bad decisions, that it all works out for Xavier, because obviously he's not 7'2" like Kristaps Porzingis. He's not 7'1" like Luke Cornett. He's not Al Horford either. And, being someone who can switch, who can be a little bit more aggressive in coverages, when they dial up that intensity, it should help him, especially now that he's moving better. And he's clearly moving better. It's obvious. And I think he's going to be a factor. Joe said after the game, Joe actually had two quotes after the game about the front court rotation that were pretty interesting. One was that he was telling Nimi, like, this is what you fought for a long time, the chance to start for the Celtics, which wasn't necessarily saying that Nimi will start for the Celtics, but certainly left the door open for that possibility. And I know that Chris Boucher has had some good moments in the preseason and might have been the best big the Celtics have had in the preseason. But I do think that Nimi needs to be, for them to be the best team possible, Nimi has to emerge as that option, because he's just taller. He has a better skill set around the hoop. He is mobile. Like he is their best chance at having a big man who can play both ways, both ends of the court. And so that was interesting that Joe said that about Nimi, clearly stating that he's in the mix at least for a starting spot. And then he said that they're going to need Tillman this season. I think they're going to probably play a lot of guys. It really looks like it's lining up for the Celtics to play a lot of guys. I know Jalen got hurt in the first quarter today, and that was part of the reason that they played 12 guys in the first quarter, but that's unusual. This was basically a preseason like a regular season dress rehearsal, where they had most of their guys available, and they went 12 deep in the first quarter, and that was without Hauser available. And like a lot of their guys have kind of stated a case for minutes. Josh Minot continues to be just hustle guy, nose for the ball on both ends. He makes defensive plays. He gets on the glass. He's going to help for sure. I think he's pretty clearly like the number one wing right now behind Jaylen Brown and Sam Hauser, at least in my eyes, the way I see it. And we get limited access, obviously. I don't watch practices. But from the 4 preseason games, Josh Minot was just clearly the Celtics' most impactful wing. His shooting could be an issue at times, but he's just been a help every time he's out there. And he's always around the ball, always making plays, always in the mix. And then, Jordan Walsh dealt with the adductor strain, so that's something that held him back a little. Before that, he had some momentum, I would say. Like Joe and Derek White both singled him out in training camp for how well he was playing. And I think he'll be in the mix there for minutes. Ugo, I didn't really expect much of him. He's a 19-year-old coming from Spain, adjusting to life in Boston and the United States of America and a new league. And he barely played for Real Madrid in Spain last year. And they're a great team. But still, like, that shows there was a gap between where he was and where he needs to be to play an NBA role. He's getting there. I don't know how much he'll help this season. I don't know how much he'll play this season. But that dude has just the outline of a good basketball player. He's already, as a teenager, like just physically capable at an NBA level. He can make plays with his athleticism. He can make plays with his strength. He's an instinctual defender. He's a tough defender. He's a rugged defender. He doesn't back down. He had one spin move tonight toward the baseline. Ooh, Ugo's got some shit to him. Hit a couple of threes. He's really impressed me this preseason because he looks like he belongs on an NBA court. And even if it's a first round pick, you come in as a teenager from Spain and you didn't play much before. Just to then come in and be a helpful defender right away and flying around and making plays right away. Not only that, but like the way guys try to drive him and try to be physical against him, and he just kind of holds his ground and then is still able to make a play. He's just tough, athletic, has good timing on his shot blocking. He crashes the glass, goes to make offensive rebounds, has been good in transition. Ugo has been one of the standouts, not necessarily like I don't know how many minutes he's going to get, but I do know that I've been impressed with that kid throughout preseason, and that he has repeatedly looked like somebody who one day at least will make a difference and might be ready to play minutes right now, especially the way the Celtics are going to play, especially if they play a lot of guys, especially if they're shuffling guys in and out, looking for high intensity defense, picking guys up full court. That's what he does. So shout out to Ugo. He has been doing it in preseason. Baylor Shireman hasn't had as impactful a preseason. I don't know what his shooting numbers were tonight, but he hasn't shot the ball well. He has some like really ambitious shot selection at times. Like he pulled up from like 30 in semi-transition tonight. It was like a heat check, even though he's hasn't really made shots all preseason. So I think he's held his own defensively. He's made some plays defensively. He had a couple more steals tonight, but he's got to become a better shooter if he's going to play minutes, because other guys do the other stuff better. Like Josh Minot's going to be a more impactful defender. Hugo Gonzalez probably, like right now, I would say like at least as good like an on-ball defender, a disruptor as Shireman has been, and he's 19. So Shireman, am I going to write him off? No, but he's had chances to earn minutes, and I think the other guys are just doing a little more right now. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, Shireman separated himself from the guys who were here last year toward the end of the year and earned the coach's trust. So maybe he'll do it again, but we'll see. This was another game where like just seemed like the Celtics top 3 initiators, and that's Jalen, that's Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White are just going to have so much on them. So much on them. Pritchard was only 1 for 11, just couldn't shoot, but I thought he played great anyway. He had 10 assists. He was 0 for 8 from behind the arc. Just a weird night from him. Don't expect that from him very often. Derek White was incredible. 33 points, 10 for 23 from the field. I think he has a chance to just have a huge year, because he's going to be forced into being aggressive. And when Derek White is aggressive, good things happen. That's just how it's always been. And now the Celtics have no choice but to give him the ball, to play off him. He's been super aggressive looking for his 3-point shot. And I think they need that. I think it's a good thing. And I think maybe his percentages go down a little bit, but they'll still be really good at the end of the day. And he's always impacted winning, but while he's been with the Celtics, it's been pretty clear that there's another level he can reach when he needs to reach it, and they need it from him now. And it just feels like he's going to be empowered to do a lot and gonna flourish with that. So Derek White, huge game, one of many. Anthony Simons, didn't think he was great. He just needs to play a little more physical at times. Like, guys bump him off his line when he's dribbling. Joe left him in toward the end of the game when Toronto had a bench lineup and was trying to come back from a double-digit deficit and ended up tying the score. And Celtics just kept turning it over. Simons did some sloppy stuff. He's played non-winning basketball in Portland the last few years. I think it's going to be an adjustment for him to learn how to play winning basketball, how to bring it on a possession-to-possession basis, how to not take plays off, how to not allow guys to rough him up a little bit. He needs to just be ready for that level of intensity that the Celtics are going to see from some guys. And he's just a gifted offensive player, though, like super gifted. But he does need to just like up the physicality on a play-to-play basis, on a second-to-second basis. And I think they'll be on him about that. I think they're going to really, really push him in that regard. And I think it'll probably be good for him. So Simons, I mean, he ended up with 53 points over 3 preseason games, and he came off the bench for 2 of those, didn't play a ton of minutes. So I think he's going to score a lot. He's going to have a big impact for this group, but just needs to tweak some things, I think, about his game to really fit the culture that the Celtics want and just help winning more than he already will, just by being such a good shooter, playmaker, offensive player. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of reshape him, remodel him. I have a story coming out Thursday morning, I believe, about how he's a learner, and hopefully you guys like that. But I think it's interesting to hear just the approach that he's taking to this opportunity, and the approach he's sort of taken to just be a sponge at all times. I found parts of my story really interesting. So hopefully you guys appreciate that too. What else was from tonight? I thought Nemi had a pretty good game. Offensive rebounding, yup. Need it. Blocks, yup. They'll need it. Derek White with 4 blocks. Like, what can that man not do? Josh Minot with a couple blocks. That dude is always making defensive plays. Always making defensive plays. So, but yeah, Chris Boucher. I thought Chris Boucher, he was 2 for 8. Felt like some of his warts came through a little bit. Shot 4 threes, made 1 of them. But the energy is just there. And I think he's going to be sort of a swing piece for them. When he plays power forward, he's going to give them an athleticism, some length that they don't always have or won't always have when he's not at the power forward position. So I think he just gives them a dynamic. I don't think I fully appreciated that when they traded or when they opened up a roster spot and signed him. I don't think I appreciated how much he would change the dynamic for some of the lineups that they could throw out there. And I'm not saying he's like some great player, but I do think he can help. And I do think when he plays 4, they just shift a little bit in some good ways, some bad ways, but he gives them different ways to play that they kind of need. So that's been clear throughout preseason. I think especially when he plays 4. Sometimes when he plays 5 too, though, they can just have some really athletic long lineups that just kind of have a lot of nuisances out there. Kind of a hilarious end to the game. It was almost the exact same ending as the other night when the Celtics played the Raptors, and all of a sudden Chucky Hepburn was making plays and Jamison Battle was making plays, and the deep end of Raptors bench was staging this huge comeback, and the Celtics were unraveling. They held strong. Xavier Tillman hit a clutch bucket with, I believe, 0.8 seconds left, and Celtics avoided a second preseason disaster to the Raptors. For a little while, Celtics almost looked like the media team. Nobody's ever looked like the media team. We were pathetic. We were atrocious. We got owned. And yeah, it was tough. But thanks for listening. This is still Potable. We will be here Monday through Friday as always for the kids, the gods, the legends. Love you all. Thank you all. And we'll talk to you soon.
Still Potable, the Boston Celtics, still Potable.